Hi, this is Dr. Sydney Joseph from The Wish Fulfilled. I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today. On this episode, I will be talking about my light language and how I received my light language. I do want to say that within any spiritual awakening journey, it's one with ebbs and flows, and everybody's journey is going to look different. If you have not caught episodes of me interviewing people on their specific spiritual awakening journey, definitely check that out. It is an amazing series that I've started on this channel, and I love the stories that I'm able to engage with regards to this process. I personally love my spiritual awakening journey because it's one in which I feel like I found myself. It makes me feel so empowered, and there is so much growth that I see personally for myself over the time that I've spent with my spiritual awakening journey, and I'm happy to share that with you guys. So on the last episode, I talked about updates for my spiritual awakening journey, me coming into my oneness, manifestations that I've had. But I wanted to insert one other thing. Right after I came into my oneness, I went through a period, it was almost like 2 months or so, where I felt utter bliss. Like I was on a high, like I felt like my body was going to explode. Like I was on a high that nobody could take me off of. And I would become tearful whenever I would hear about good news about anybody. So if someone told me they were pregnant, tears, just waterworks. If you told me you got a new job, tears, just waterworks. If you told me that you were on this spiritual awakening journey and you've learned a new thing about yourself, tears, waterworks. Like it was incredible, but at the same time weird because I'm not a person that easily cry like that. And being a psychologist, you hear stories all the time about people's journeys and you get excited for them and with them. However, I am not just a crying type. And so me feeling that way was really, really different. But at the same time, it was just beautiful to really celebrate with someone in that kind of way. And the scripture that comes to mind for me is when in the Bible it talks about how like when one person is saved, the heavens rejoice. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I was rejoicing with that person with every good news that I heard. And it was just beautiful. Now I do hear that, I forget what it's called, but I do hear that when you're in that state, you can feel that state for longer than what I felt. Some people feel it for a lifetime, which is more rare, but other people feel it for like a day or two or a week. And then for other people, it's a little bit longer, but it's just dependent upon how you're nurturing yourself, like whether or not you're engaging with limiting beliefs, whether or not you're engaging with thoughts that are low vibrational, so to speak. It'll dim that down some and it doesn't last as long. But as long as you're in good spirits and you maintain your good spirits and your high vibrations, you can maintain that high state. Now, being in that high state is a very powerful state to be in because your manifestations are that much powerful because you're at a higher vibrational state and you're able to match the vibration of so many things. So if you find yourself in that state, please hold on to it. It is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. I want to usher into how I got my light language. So shortly after feeling my oneness, feeling a state of utopia and feeling this bliss, I was like, where are the bigger manifestations that I had been wanting? And then just like been working on for some time. I'm like, where's that? I remember being frustrated with that. And in my frustration, I would start seeing angel numbers. And the angel numbers that I start seeing was 444 everywhere. Everywhere I would see 444. And I remember asking myself, like I wonder what the problem is. I remember pulling up to a car, behind a car, and on one of their bumper sticker it said, "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem." And I burst out laughing because I was like, I was just thinking the question, like, what's the problem? And here I am pulling up to a car and it's saying, hi, it's me, I'm the problem. In addition to me seeing that and seeing the 444, it just really felt like I was communicating with my spirit guides just a little bit more intimately. And they fully heard my frustrations. And to be honest with you, whenever I felt like I was frustrated in this spiritual journey, always found answers. I felt like spirit would always speak to me and communicate with me some kind of way to allow me to get the answers that I needed to get. So I was seeing 4-4 everywhere. And when I looked up what was 444, 444 was a angel number that really talked about like how you're being guided and you're on the right track. And I'm like, okay, if I'm on the right track, then I need some questions answered. And so I did a meditation, and when I did my meditation, all I kept seeing in the meditation was 94. Huge, I would say letters, but numbers. But the numbers were large, like larger than life. 94, like can't miss it. I would just see that during my meditation. And when I looked that up, so 94 are numbers where it means that you're being guided and you need to just continue on the path that you're on. Whatever you've started, just don't look back, just continue. And so I said, okay, fine. During that meditation, I kept hearing Akashic records, Akashic records, Akashic records. So I woke up and was like, what, let me find out how I can access the Akashic records. It was never on my mind to look into my Akashic records. But when I did, I found a meditation, did the meditation, looked into my Akashic records. And the Akashic records is very unique because not everyone is able to see what's inside. I think you have to be at a certain like I don't know. I don't want to distinguish that, but I do know that for some people they can go into it and not see or hear anything, and then for others they can, whatever the reasons are. So anyways, I was able to go into my Akashic records and I was able to learn that I am a healer. That was so special to me because I feel like I always wondered why I became a psychologist and why I um kind of like am the person that I am, where I'm like kind of giving and I always care about other people. Like I love to love people. So it just aligned, right? And in even with that alignment, it also made me feel like purposeful, um, that I'm here and the work that I do is meaningful. So that was really, really good to hear. I just really am excited about the journey that is ahead and the lives that I'm able to touch and reach in very impactful ways. I feel like I do so already with the work that I do, but like learning all of this really brings to light for me just this is my path, you know? So that happened. So I learned that I am a healer and something else happens. What happened was I was very gung ho after that. Like, let's go. Like, what do I got to do? You know, what needs to be done? Like, I'm really, really excited at this point in time. And I keep telling myself, like, listen, whatever opportunities come to you, just take it. Don't wait on it. Don't tarry. Just take it and go. Don't even think about it. Just go. So my sister punked me and was asking me, because I make this drink that is popular in my culture during the holidays. She was saying that I should make this drink and sell it at a festival. And I did. And when I did, that drink just really just like blew up and so many sales. It was just so successful. And that was just my debut of me selling this product. And I was really, really excited about that. There's a lot of high that goes into being able to prepare for it, but then to see the response was just amazing for me. But shortly after I got sick. Now, my children had gotten sick with like allergies because they were outside and they were supporting me, but they were outside a little bit longer than they should have been. And they were exposed to the weather and their allergies got into them and they got sick. So when they got sick, I got sick. But this time when I got sick, I noticed that my sickness was way different from theirs. Theirs was just like runny nose and they were sick for like a couple days and it was over. I was in bed with a fever, headaches. It was just incredible. And I said to myself, this is not ordinary. Like it's in the dead of summer. How am I this sick? So I go to the doctor and we get everything done. I'm talking COVID, flu. It was like 3 different tests that was ran to see like what could be going on with me. And come to find out, I tested negative for all of them. And we were all just confused, like, what is this? What's going on? But it kept me in bed for like a week and I couldn't work. I couldn't really take care of the kids. I couldn't do anything because this whatever this sickness was, I just needed to rest and like take some time off. After I recovered from that, and I remember thinking to myself like finally I'm better. Finally, I'm feeling like more of myself. I have so many things on the list of things that I need to get done. I need to get to those things. But I remember one night I was in bed and I felt like my entire body felt very, very hot. Now, because I've been pregnant with triplets before, it reminded me of when I was pregnant with triplets and how I just would feel super, super overheated. But this felt like I was burning, and I felt it mainly in my hands where it felt like scorched. My body felt super, super hot. And I remember asking my husband, like, do I feel warm to you? Like, I didn't feel like I had a fever, but I just felt super overheated. And so I would just take in a whole lot of like water. So it happened for about 2 days, 2 or 3 days, where I felt like this high level of heat. But on the last day, that night, I received my light language. And it if you see my last interview where I talked about light language, you would know that it was intense. It was incredibly intense. My hands are swinging a lot. There's a lot of like mudras happening. I'm saying like this the type of sound coming at the end. It would happen so rapidly. The movements would happen so rapidly that whenever I stopped, I would feel solidified. I don't know if that makes sense. I would feel like work has been done. At one point, I even felt like my heart was readjusted. And energetically, I had came to a place of like homeostasis. So let me say it this way. One time I had drank coffee during the day, and I'm not a heavy coffee drinker, but when I do drink coffee, I intend on that day to like just get a whole bunch of work done. So one day was drinking coffee and it fell into like the early evenings, like around 5, 6 o'clock. I was still drinking this coffee. Now I had gotten a lot of work done because it really energized me. But then when it was time for me to go to bed, I noticed that there was like an energetic pull for me to have like a spiritual experience that night. And so my light language comes through and it's going, brrr, it's doing this thing, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going. And it was like for a minute or so that I was doing the light language. And then immediately after, I no longer felt like all this like jittery energy after I did the light language. So that's what I mean when I say like after I'm done with the light language, I feel like I'm at a place of homeostasis. Like whatever was bothering me, whatever's the problem, it's not a problem anymore. I'm just even. Let me go back to what is light language. Light language it's coming off of the concept that we are humans who are on this earth, but we're actually not from this earth. So some of us are from other planets and we're just on this earth to help out with the next great awakening and to help out with the next evolution of earth, right? You can read more about this with Dolores Cannon, Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth is the name of the book. And so you may hear people talking about the fact that they are Arcturian or Pleiadian or Lyrian. And so they are able to have like spiritual gifts. And once they come into knowing who they actually are, because on earth we forget through birth and then we go on this quest of remembering, and that's the spiritual awakening process. But so you begin to get back or remember the language of where you're actually from. So light language can be really helpful because it really helps to detox your body. It's like energy work. When people do like Reiki and things of that nature, that's how I feel it when I do it. I feel like I'm doing energy work on myself and I'm pulling out limiting beliefs, traumas, blockages that are in my body. It's just like it's being pulled out. But I also notice that I can maintain that state or I cannot maintain that state. So I say, for instance, I have a limiting belief and I can have a light language that night, but then afterwards, if I go back into a limiting belief, then the work that I did kind of like wane off a bit, if that makes sense. So you still have to like groom your garden, so to speak, where you are being careful of like how you speak to yourself and the thoughts that you have. So anyways, the light language is very interesting because you'll see a lot of people doing like spirals going this way. And that is them bringing energy, a certain type of energy into their body. And then you'll do spirals going forward this way. And that is them taking out negative energy outside of their body. And then sometimes I'll do some tapping. Even sometimes my hands are like going more like a wavy pattern. If you're tapping on your body or doing a waving pattern, you're breaking up energy, blocked energy in your body. And then the big spirals are like you're bringing in huge energies to your body. And so I would notice that I would get my light language mainly during the night in the beginning, and it was intense during the night. And I also have to like put in this other caveat that one of my spiritual mentors told me that in my previous past life, I was a shaman, and I was a shaman to animals, which was interesting because I'm not really an animal person in this life. I'm kind of afraid of them. Being at my childhood, I ran home from dogs on my way walking home. There were a lot of stray dogs in the neighborhood, and I would be afraid of them, and they would run, chase me all the way home. So ever since then, I just kind of stay away from animals. I'm not too much of an animal person. And that's in this lifetime. But ever since I've gone through the spiritual awakening journey, I haven't really tested myself out just yet, but I don't think I'm afraid of animals anymore. But her whole thing was that I used to be a shaman to animals. And my pattern with regards to my manifestations is one that have the theme of power. So in my past life, I was a shaman to not domestic animals, but really large animals. And she said that it's possible that the power that comes from really large beasts and animals is one that probably took a toll on me in those past lives. And in this life, I'm just kind of staying away from it, symbolizing that I'm also shying away from my actual power. And it's interesting because whenever I would have meditations, I would often see an animal. This is prior to my light language early on in my spiritual awakening journey. I would always see animals, and I would even see animals right before a manifestation took. And I was like, okay, is that my spirit animal? Like, what's going on there? I didn't have a lot of context, but now that I've learned that that was part of my past life, it makes a little bit more sense. But even more than that is the symbolism of power that's also coming through. So whenever I received my light language in the very beginning, it was very expansive. It was very powerful. It was a lot of swinging of the arms. I would open up my mouth, and there sometimes would feel like a roar was coming out. It was intense, but in the context of animals and power and such, it makes sense. I can either keep it at that level of like intensity and power, or I can ask for it to be less because that's not what I like. But it's all up to me how intense I want to have it. And to be honest with you, I felt like the intensity that it was before was intense, but I did recognize the work that was being done with it. I think it helped to collapse time for me, honestly, because there was so much work being done with regards to releasing certain traumas or blocked energies that I think it really allowed for time to collapse for me. But nonetheless, I still get it, but I get it not just at night. I also get it during the day. And it would happen during the day on my drives when I'm picking up my kids. It would happen when I was with my kids. But the most distinct one that I want to point out is it would happen whenever I would feel intensely about my manifestation. You know how you say your affirmations, and sometimes you say it and you don't really feel something, right? But then sometimes you say it and you feel it from your heart, from your gut, right? I would feel my manifestation. Like I would feel what I desire so intensely that it would spring up a light language for me. And the light language for me felt like in the time that I was doing it, that it would feel like it was pushing the energy towards that manifestation, if that makes sense. So it feels helpful. It feels like a friend. It feels like a companion, where it's like it's assisting me in moving forth the things that I would like to move forth in this lifetime. And I really, really enjoy it. Honestly, it felt strange at first, but now it's toned down. And so it feels more cutesy and pretty. And you do all this here, and it's not the swinging of the arms like it was before. But also, I wanted to mention that it's also similar, like to speak in tongues. I would speak in tongues when I would feel like I want to give the utmost praise to God. And I felt that intensely. Then the tongues will come through, right? So the light language feels similar in the sense that whenever I do feel a thing intensely, it would spring up my light language. But yeah, that is my light language. And I am also learning what star seed that I am. And we'll talk about that later. I don't want to discuss that now, but my light language have been good for me and I enjoy it. So if you feel like you are at that point of receiving your light language and it feels a little bit weird, or you can't make sense of it, I just want to say to give yourself some grace. It's new. And whenever things are new, it's going to feel kind of odd, kind of like out of worldly, kind of like not yourself, but figure out what you want. What is it that you desire? If you don't want it to come on, it doesn't come on. If you want it to stop, it will certainly, most certainly stop. Whatever you desire, you're the one that's kind of guiding it. It's a spiritual gift that you have, and it's up to you what you do with it. Right now, I feel like my light language is for me. I see people online oftentimes like doing an activation for other people. At this point in time, that's not where I am. Um, I'm getting all this fine tuned within myself, if that makes sense. It comes on also when I'm thinking about or talking about stories about aliens, ETs, and certain concepts. So like, it's kind of like when I received the activation within my third eye, when my third eye started to spiral, I would feel energy around between my eyebrows. That did happen prior to my light language, but it kind of felt like that. I would feel that intensely whenever I would watch something, and if it was in agreement with it, it would come on. So my light language tend to also come on whenever it's in agreement with some of these spiritual concepts that I listen to and watch. It would come on for that. It would also be an agreement, like an excitement, so to speak, whenever like the desired outcome that I have, if I'm in thought about it, if I am encouraged by it, if I am listening to something that is saying that it's coming now, it would be in agreement with it. And then my light language would just, spring up at that point in time. So I've noticed that it helps to move forward my manifestation. It also helps me to shift through information. And it has helped me with breaking up blocked energy and trauma that's in my body, be it conscious or unconscious. It has also helped me with those things as well. So if you are in a place where you received your light language, congratulations to you. But just know that it's whether or not you want it or you don't want it, it's all up to you. Again, leave me questions in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this experience. It's been a ride, and it's been a lovely ride. And I've enjoyed every part of it. If you want to work with me, I am a licensed psychologist, also a consciousness coach. So I am able to assist in a number of different ways, but that information would be in the description box. Look out for the mini courses that I'm also putting out as well on raising your frequency and also manifesting like a 2-year-old. With love and light. Hope you guys have a great afternoon.